Are you sick and tired of cold feet? Have you tried everything, and I mean everything, to keep your feet warm while trying to enjoy your time outdoors? Well, today I'll tell you what I have found and what I do to keep my feet warm no matter how cold it is. Well, today's video is brought to you by Weston Store at westonstore.com. That's because several years ago I too was sick and tired of cold feet. I was willing to try anything. I was looking for a solution and I found a pair of their heated socks. That's been more than 2 years ago and I'm still using that exact pair of socks and no more cold feet. I have several tips to share with my years of experience with these socks and I will share them with you. But first, I want to get off this cold tree stand. WestonStore.com recently released their new upgraded 2.0 heated socks. Now these new heated socks come with not only rechargeable batteries but also a Bluetooth remote. The rechargeable batteries are 3.7 volt and are 5,000 milliamp capacity. These heated socks not only are comfortable to wear, but they are washable. The new socks fit US sizes from 5 up to size 14. As I already mentioned, these socks are powered by these lithium rechargeable batteries. They're extremely lightweight yet powerful enough to supply hours, up to 8 hours of heat to your feet. Now these are lightweight lithium rechargeable batteries and on my scales weigh just over 3 ounces each. Your socks come nicely packaged. Of course you get your pair of socks, your 2 batteries, a charging cord, and of course that Bluetooth remote. Now, as I already mentioned, I've been using Weston heated socks for several years now. In fact, I've been using the exact same pair of socks and original batteries for more than 2 years. Next, I want to give you some tips on how I use the socks and what system I use to totally eliminate cold feet, at least for me. So I use my heated socks while hunting. There's times I spend 4, 6, 8 hours at a time standing on a small metal platform covered with metal mesh. You have cold coming up from the bottom of the mesh. You're standing on a cold platform, and I need to have warm feet or I simply cannot last in the tree stand. By using the heated socks, I no longer have cold feet, but there was some experimenting and some steps that I had to follow to never have cold feet again. Originally, when I first received my socks, they did not completely solve my issue. While they definitely helped with my cold feet, there were times in extreme conditions where my feet would still get cold. Since then, I've came up with a system and different steps that I follow that have eliminated my cold feet. The first tip that I'll share with you, and something that I have learned over the years, I turn my socks on immediately after getting to my stand. Before, I would simply wait until my feet would start feeling cold and then I would turn the socks on, maybe put them on high for a while and then switch them down to medium or low. And I have found that does not work for me. I have to turn these socks on immediately upon getting to my stand. Depending on how far you walked or what type of boots you have on, your feet have possibly sweated to get to your stand. I still immediately turn my socks on when I get to the stand. If I wait until my feet start feeling cold, it's too late and it seems the socks can never quite catch up, or at least not for me and my circulation. So upon getting to my stand, the first thing that I do is that I turn my socks on low. That leads me right into my next tip, and for me, I operate these socks on low the entire time. So when I'm sitting at my stand or at a sporting event or standing on ice or any other time when I get cold feet, I operate my socks on low for the entire time. Not only will the batteries last much longer when they're on low, personally, for me and my circulation, when I operate the socks on high especially, my feet actually start to hurt because of the intense heat down around my toes. Now I already mentioned that's also a plus because when you operate these socks on low, you get the longest run time on these batteries. These batteries are advertised to last up to 8 hours, and I have found that is absolutely accurate, and I can get at least 8 hours on these batteries when I operate the socks on low power. The last piece of the puzzle, or at least for me, in extremely cold conditions, I wear boot blankets over top of my boots. So as soon as I get to my stand, I turn my socks on, I put them on low, and I immediately cover my boot with a boot blanket. Now there are several brands available, and I'd imagine each are rather effective. I've just personally had experience with one particular brand. I simply slip that boot blanket over top of my boot, have my socks on low, and if extremely cold, I will put one hand warmer in on top of my boot. The boot blanket helps hold that hand warmer in place. You don't have to tape it or have adhesive type hand warmers. I literally just slip a hand warmer and lay it right on top of my boot, over top of the toes. That boot blanket holds it in place. I zip up the boot blankets and I am good to go. Now I will say I do get the sensation that my feet feel wet. Now that's probably from the sweat walking in, but even 4, 6, 8 hours later, if I intentionally think about my feet do not feel cold. They do not feel extremely hot, like I can feel the heat coming from the socks, but they just feel comfortable, but they feel wet. Seems kind of weird, and it may just be me. When I take the socks off, they're not physically wet to the touch, but that is the sensation that I personally get when using this system. Kind of weird, but for me, I'll take that over cold feet any day. So that's my system and how I use the Weston heated socks. But next I want to talk about, is there any negatives or things that I would change if I could? Well, I did mention that they come with a remote. It's a Bluetooth remote that you can control the settings on your socks. It has an off button, a high, medium, and low button. The remote works well. The very first time you use it, you have to pair it with the socks, and there are instructions that you can follow in the manual, and they worked the very first time that I tried these new socks. I was able to pair the socks to the remote. With this remote, you can change the settings from high, medium, and low on both socks at the exact same time, simply with the press of a button. The only negative that I have found with this remote is that the power button will turn off the socks, but it will not turn the socks on. So in other words, if you do not have your socks turned on, you get to your location or you get to the time when you want to turn the socks on, you cannot simply press the power button and turn the socks on. So in my book, that is the negative that I have found with these socks. Not a big deal, and I'm sure that there's a reason why the Bluetooth remote can't turn the socks on. Surely if there was a way that they could with this remote, they would have it that you could turn the socks both on and off. But at this point, at least the pair of socks that I've used, the socks can only be turned on manually by pressing the power button down on the sock. And then once they're turned on, you can control the heat settings and turn the socks off with the remote. You just cannot turn the socks on by pressing the power button. The last tips that I'll share are the longevity of your socks. Now these new upgraded socks come with a 3-year warranty, but I will give you some tips on how to make yours last longer. One complaint I often hear from people is that their batteries don't last. As I mentioned, I'm using the original batteries with my socks and they have lasted for years. For me, the key to making these lithium batteries last is to keep them charged. You never want to fully discharge these batteries and then leave them for long periods of time in the discharged state. In my opinion, it is better to always charge these batteries. In fact, every single time, as soon as I take these socks off, I immediately put these batteries on the charger and charge both batteries up. In fact, a pro tip, on the day you receive your socks, get out your smartphone and put in a calendar reminder for June or July. In the heat, in the middle of the summer, when the last thing that you're thinking about is your heated socks, you'll get a reminder just to double check to make sure that you have fully charged your batteries before storage. So those were my tips on how I use Weston heated socks to eliminate my cold feet. I'll be placing a link down in the description. It is an affiliate link, so if you choose to make a purchase, I will receive a small commission, so I want to thank you in advance. They have many other products on their website, including heated sweatshirts. They have heated coats and gloves and many other things. They also sell additional battery packs for your heated socks. You may want to run your socks on high the entire time, and if you ever run out of battery, you can simply swap it out for a newly charged battery. All that's available on westonstore.com, so check out their website. There'll be a discount code that can save on any item that you buy. And of course, this time of year, they're running many sales. So check out the links below. I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.